Hello, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining me for Afternoon Tea with Dr. Susan. I'm Susan McGregor, and I'd love to welcome you to today's session. Today, I want to talk about three weaknesses. Did you know they had weaknesses of adult acne and how you might defeat adult acne because you know about those three weaknesses? Bear with me, and I'll tell all. So first, let's talk about how you get adult acne and also how you might be able to prevent it, those weaknesses I mentioned. When you have acne, you might call it pimples, you might call it adult acne, whatever. But the point is, whatever you decide to call it, its effect on you is terrible. It's depressing. You can't hide it. You've got these lumps and bumps that are all over your face, and it's just horrible. In a word, it's horrible. If you have oily skin, the problem does seem to be so much worse. So first, let me explain, how do you actually get acne? And then I'll talk about how you might be able to defeat it. Okay, with me? Now, just bear with me. And let me ask you to look at your forearm. Yeah? Just bear with me. It'll make sense in a minute, I promise. Now, when you look at your forearm, do you see that you've got fine hairs growing out of very, very tiny holes in your skin? Do you see that? Okay. Now, below where those holes are little glands called oil glands. Well, they're actually called sebaceous glands. And they produce an oil that's called sebum. Now, sebum is really important to us because that oil helps to hydrate our skin and keep our skin moist. So terribly important. The problem is that sometimes we produce excess oil. And that becomes an issue. I'll come to that in a moment. On top of your skin, you also have dead skin cells. Now, you always have dead skin cells. Your skin is constantly renewing itself every single day, 24 hours a day. So those dead skin cells are sitting there, minding their own business, doing their own thing. Okay? But so far, we have two players. We have overexcited, if you like, oil glands, and we have dead skin cells. Okay? Now, going back to those oil glands. As I said, in some people, the oil glands produce too much oil. Now, that excess oil mixes with the dead skin cells. And when that happens, they form tiny, tiny little plugs. And those plugs sit and block those little holes that you see on your forearm where the hairs are growing out of. You with me? Can you imagine that? Okay. When those little plugs get blocked, then you have whiteheads or blackheads, and I'll explain those in another post, another blog, another time. Now, you're familiar with whiteheads and blackheads because I'm sure you've had them on your nose, around your nose hair, and at the top of your nose. Yes? You know what I'm talking about? Great. Now, remember this plug because I'll come back to it in a minute. Okay? But just a reminder, so far we only have two things in this party. We've got overexcited excess oil and we've got dead skin cells. Now, I want to introduce a third party. And that is, or rather a third thing to come to this party, and that is bacteria. Now, we all have bacteria on our skin. Much of it is harmless, much of it does us no harm at all, and sometimes they're actually helpful. So nothing at all to worry about that we've got bacteria. The problem arises when the bacteria meets the oil and the dead skin plug. Remember the plug? Now, when the bacteria gets introduced to these, then the bacteria infects the plug. And when that happens, your whiteheads and blackheads morph into pimples, and hey presto, you have acne. You with me so far? Now, let's not get too frightened by acne, and let's move on and talk about how we can manage this process so it doesn't get out of hand and perhaps you won't get acne. Remember I said perhaps. Okay. You have three opportunities. The first opportunity is right at the start where you're producing too much oil. Your oil glands are overactive. Okay? At that point, the thing you can do to help yourself is to cleanse your skin really well every morning and every evening using a gentle cleanser. I will talk more about products another time. If you just cleanse your skin though, that will go a long way to preventing the next stage, which is whiteheads and blackheads. Okay? Now, the second opportunity arises at the point when you see the whiteheads and blackheads. Now, when you see these, this should be a major red flag to you. Oh my gosh, no, I've goofed. I need to fix this. So, you cleanse your skin morning and evening, but now you add a second thing. You add a gentle scrub that you will use every week. Yeah? It's up to you if you want to try it, but just a suggestion. Now, if you do that, then it should very gently reduce the number of blackheads and whiteheads and hopefully get rid of them altogether. And that's the aim of the game. But if that doesn't happen or you goof again, then your third opportunity is when you actually have full-blown acne. At that point, you could use a product with benzoyl peroxide. Now, I'll talk about that too later when I talk about products. But the takeaway from this session is just this, and that is cleanliness is really, really important. Absolutely important to cleanse your skin morning and evening. And that's it. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button so that you can see all my future videos. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.